Avoid toxic and negative people. There is still a risk of toxic people becoming difficult to avoid, even if they came with a warning tattooed on their skin. While we can always decide who we allow close to us, it can sometimes be hard to cut out the toxicity and negativity from the people in our lives. They might be colleagues, bosses, in-laws, step-someones, family, co-parents, and the list goes on. Unless we decide to go it alone, work alone, live alone, be alone, which is sometimes tempting but comes with its own set of costs, we are likely to cross paths with those we would rather avoid. Whenever discussing toxic people, it's important to remember that nobody can be changed, so it's best to stop trying and avoid them instead. Coexisting with toxics means going around them to set your own rules, then accepting that you don't need them to respect those rules to claim your power. Therefore, keeping toxic people at bay is one of the most important goals in life, and this video will provide you with powerful, practical tips to avoid toxic people. How to avoid toxic, negative people. Number 1. Be entrusted by your intentions. Sometimes, toxic people will trap you like a hunted thing. You know you don't have to give in to them, but you always know that there will be consequences if you don't. The secret is to make your decision from a position of power, rather than feeling controlled. In the same way, there is something they want from you. There will always be something you want from them, even if it is to avoid more of their toxicity. Decide that you're doing what you're doing to control them and their behavior, not because you're a victim of their manipulation. Personal power is everything to do with what you believe and nothing to do with what you think. Number 2. Know why they see what they see in you. Toxic people will always see in others what they don't want to acknowledge about themselves. It's called projection. You could be the kindest, most generous, hardest working person on the planet, and toxic people will turn themselves inside out, trying to convince you that you're a liar, unfair, nasty, or a slacker. So, you've got to see it for what it is. You know the truth, even if they're not willing to listen. Number 3. Don't be fooled by toxic people. Be clear about your boundaries. You can't please everyone, but toxic people will have you believe that you can't please anyone. So you try harder, work harder, and compromise more. It's exhausting. Toxic people will have your boundary torn down and buried before you even realize you had one there. The more you know about what you're willing to tolerate and what you won't, the more confident you'll be about delineating your boundaries. Be ready to listen to that voice inside you that lets you know when something isn't right. It's powerful and rarely wrong, if ever. Whether someone else thinks it's right or wrong doesn't matter. What matters is whether it's right or wrong for you. Let that guide your response, and when you can, who's in and who's out. Number 4. Don't always help them through every crisis. The reason that toxic people are often in crisis is that they are masterful at creating them. It's what they do. Draw breath and create drama. You'll be called on at any sign of crisis for sympathy, attention, and support, but you don't have to run to their side. Teach them that you won't be a part of the pity party by being unemotional, inattentive, and indifferent to the crisis. Don't ask questions and don't offer help. It might feel bad because you're not your normal way, but remember that you're not dealing with a normal person. Number 5. Don't expect change from toxic people. You can't reason with toxic people. You just can't. That's one of the things that makes them toxic. Decide where you stand and then stand strong. You don't need to do any more than that. They will try to make you bend, flex, and break at the seams. Because you have an open heart, the thought that someone might misunderstand you, disapprove of you, or dislike you might get to you. But remember that you're not dealing with someone who is motivated by what's good for you or your relationship. It's always about them, and it will always be. Decide that sometimes you're going to make it about you. It's what you deserve. Number 6. Prioritize the solution rather than the problem. Toxic people will have you bending over backward and tied with a barbed wire ribbon to keep you there. What will keep you stuck is playing over and over in your head the vastness of this screwed up behavior. It will keep you angry, sad, and disempowered. If you have to make a decision that you'd rather not make, focus on the mess that it's cleaning up, not the person who is making your life hell. Don't focus on their negative behavior. There's just too much there to focus on, and it'll never make any sense anyway. Number 7. You don't need their approval. You don't. Don't look for their approval or their appreciation. You won't get it unless it comes with conditions. all of which will dampen you. You'll constantly feel drained because they'll draw on your open heart, your emotional generosity, your reasonableness, your compassion, and your humanity. And they will give absolutely nothing back. Give what you need to, but don't give any more than that in the hope of getting something back. There will never be any more than minimal, and even that will come with conditions. Whatever you do, know why you're doing what you're doing and make sure the reasons are good enough. Despite our best efforts, the world is crowded with people whose behavior is breathtakingly damaging. That doesn't mean that we have to open ourselves up to the damage. The secret to living well means living deliberately. Knowing the signs of toxic behavior and responding deliberately and in full clarity to toxic people will reduce their impact and allow you to keep yourself whole and empowered. And you always deserve that.